Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Republican lawmakers react to the governor's State of the State address and the start of the legislative session. Also tonight, Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes responds to the Trump administration's lawsuit over the state's refusal to release voter information. And we'll hear about a new book with the encouraging title, Longevity Made Simple. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The 2026 state legislative session kicked off Monday as Governor Katie Hobbs delivered her State of the State address. We got reaction to the speech and the start of the session from Democratic leaders last night. Tonight, we hear from Republican leadership. And joining us now is Senate President Pro Tem T.J. Shope. Good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. We get to do it all over again.
All over again, yeah. All right, thoughts on just general thoughts on the governor's address.
I think it was a tale of two addresses, if you will. We had some commonality, I think, especially when we're discussing things like the Colorado River, where obviously we're going to have to come together on. Arizona's the only state of the 7 basin states of the Colorado River that requires a legislative approval to anything that the governor enters into. So that gives us an outsized influence as compared to the other states. And then obviously there are some things that we are just going to be non-starters on. Whether it's the amount of fees that we heard, whether it was on short-term rentals and data centers, and then obviously the perennial topic of ESAs and things like that. So, I think we know where the ground rules are. We're 4 years into a divided, this is our 4th year in a divided government. And I think both sides are entrenched on what we want to get accomplished and what we know is going to be a non-starter for either side.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about non-starter ability here in a second here. But affordability seemed to be an emphasis here, and she talked about a middle-class tax cut, which would be a partial conformity to what the federal tax bill, the Trump tax bill, is all about. Your thought on partial conformity, because I know that Republicans are all for full conformity. Is there movement there?
Well, I think that what you saw introduced this week by the House and Senate Republican caucus is a type of partial hybrid conformity. Unlike the governor, we're not interested in giving tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires with her continuance of the SALT deduction. We don't have that in our plan that we are currently voting on, and we'll have a vote on tomorrow in the House and Senate floor. So there are some differences there. We do believe that the plan that we have is going to have the most positive change on the taxpayer. I would say, though, there were forms that were mailed out to the voters by Department of Revenue, and obviously it's hard to mail out a form whenever you don't have a bill yet. So I think there's a lot of confusion that the executive office has gone out and sown. And if I were a taxpayer, I can tell you from my own perspective, I'm not filing my state taxes right now until we have a conclusion.
No kidding. No kidding. Clear this up for me, because she said she wanted no more tax cuts and tax breaks for corporations and high wage earners. You're saying you don't want that either?
Well, the proof is in the plan. Right now, in our plan, we do not include the SALT deduction tax, which is a state and local deduction. What that does is for high state tax states like California and New York, New Jersey, you're able to go ahead and write off your state income tax or state taxes on your federal income tax. We don't include that because it goes to the highest wage earners. We want a middle-class tax cut that's going to affect the most Arizonans that we possibly can in a positive way.
When it comes to full conformity, though, is it all or nothing? Is that a non-starter that you referred to?
I believe what we are putting on the desk is the best possible plan that we can get 31 and 16 on. I believe we'll have even more than that come tomorrow. And I would hope that the governor would go ahead and sign the bill. Now, obviously, that's their prerogative to do so or not, but it would be a great kickstart to the conversation that I think the whole State of the State started on, which was trying to do things together. We'll see tomorrow whether that's true or not.
And real quickly, the impact of conformity on FY25, on this fiscal year, on fiscal year 26, and even on fiscal year 27. I mean, do we know, we talk about not knowing how much taxes you're going to be paying. Do we know how this is going to impact the budget? Because a lot of folks are saying that's going to be a big hit on revenue.
It is going to be a hit on revenue. However, we do think that there are some other things that we can do. There's Prop 123 that was left unsolved from last year that we can go ahead and work on. I believe that we have the support within the Republican caucus, both in the House and Senate, to go ahead and put that on the table, make sure the voters have a chance to put that, and that's dollars that come back into that budget picture. So there are some things that we can do to make sure that that's lessened, but ultimately what we want to make sure that happens is that the tax cuts that were passed at the federal level are continued on at the state level, so that way the most Arizonans can take advantage of those and have more money in their pocket.
You mentioned Prop 123. Do you want that tied? Do you want that tied to ESAs enshrined in the Constitution?
I don't believe that it needs to be. I don't know that the support would be there to do so. I think that at this point in time, what we are focused on is making sure that what we have in Prop 123 today is something that is continued over the next several years. We heard so many doom and gloom stories. I'm sure even on this program, we had former treasurers and others that came on and talked about how it was going to raid the land trust and there was going to be no money left. The reality is that the opposite is true. We have paid our teachers more. We have put more money into K-12 education. And we have more money in the land trust today than we did at that point in time. All of those things are true, and we can continue this program going forward.
Yes, we've heard the word corpus quite a bit on this program when it comes to state land trust.
I'm Catholic. I only heard that in one one previous iteration. Other than
that'll be a different show. Yeah, that'll be a different show.
Sure.
But back to Prop 123. Is it a sticking point? Is it a non-starter if those funds don't go completely and totally to teachers? Because Democrats want to see it going to personnel in general. Republicans, sounds like you guys still want to focus on teachers.
Yeah, that has been the focus. We heard loud and clear several years ago. I've been around the place long enough to know when we've had these conversations that that's what the focus has been on. That's why we got a positive vote 10 years ago when it went to the ballot. That's why we've been able to go ahead and continue putting those dollars to that. I was on a school board for 12 years. It is a difficult position, but whenever you decide as a board that you're going to make teachers the priority, you can do it.
You can make them a priority, but does that mean every last cent or priority?
That means that I think the ultimate thing that we're trying to do is make sure that as much as what we passed 10 years ago, because that's a successful program, continues on. And I think that's going to be the goal of what we have set forth for us.
You referred to fees earlier on, and data center fees in particular here the governor mentioned. She says that she wants them to pay, I think it was like a $6.5 million annually, something along those lines, and get rid of a tax cut, a tax exemption. The idea regarding data centers in water, they need to pay their fair share. Mm-hmm. That was the quote, pay their fair share for the water they use. She got a point there?
I don't believe so. I think that the mechanism of what she's trying to do as far as paying for their fair share, the reality is that many people, when they talk about data centers, are talking about old technology here. This is not 15 years ago, 10 years ago. For the most part, data centers don't use much water. They do use electricity. That is a conversation we are going to have.
Yes.
But it seems as though the governor is stuck in a time warp of the old school types of centers. And I don't know where that comes from, but it is something we are going to have to talk about as far as electricity output.
Indeed. So killing the existing tax exemptions for centers, I think it was 38.5 last go. That's among the non-starters?
That is among the non-starters. We don't believe that that's necessary. And in fact, we believe that especially in some of our rural counties, and in particular the county that I represent in Pinal, you have municipalities who are still actively out courting these entities, and those tax incentives are a big part of that.
I understand. Any touching, any guardrail, anything to look again at ESAs. Are we talking non-starter here?
That will not happen. I mean, we've litigated
nothing,
this.
Absolutely
we've
nothing.
Litigated this not just with the bills that we debated, but also we've had 4 election cycles since this program has started, and we have been rewarded with a larger majority after these because the people understand that the fundamental idea of sending your child to the school of their choosing is something that we've had ingrained in Arizona since the mid-1990s.
But people also understand a fundamental problem with how these funds are being used by some parents and some folks out there. There has to be a way to crack down on that.
Currently under the law, the reason that we know about some of these situations is because the law is actually being used in a way that we can expose these things, those funds get pulled back. It's working the way that it is. Does anybody like the headline of seeing somebody going out and buying a boat or anything like that? Probably not, right? I don't know, I don't. But the reality is we find out that information because the way the law is written, it allows for that type of prosecutorial discretion.
Last question here. I appreciate your time. I don't mean to
bet.
rush you here.
Absolutely.
We're running out of time. The governor said she doesn't want to see the same old partisan games. The same old partisan games will not work this year. Respond, please.
My response to that would be then we should have had a different tenor of the speech and some different goals of what we were trying to lay out. The reality is when we're talking about harming Arizona families with things like exorbitant fees on short-term rentals, whenever a family may want to take, they're not staying at the Hilton, they're not staying at the Marriott, they're staying at a home where kids can go ahead and be out in the yard while they're in Cottonwood or in Show Low or someplace when it's 110 degrees, not add additional fees that are going to go to pay people's electric bills who make upwards of $110,000 a year.
All right, Senator T.J. Shope, Senate President Pro. It's always good to see you.
Absolutely. Look forward to many more times this year.
We'll hold you to that. Thank you, sir.
The work and life of Thurgood Marshall literally changed this country.
Legally speaking, he's one of the founding fathers.
Whatever was going on, people said, don't worry, Thurgood's coming.
Thurgood's coming. Thurgood is coming.
He understood how to use the power of his voice.
He's the only Supreme Court justice who was more famous for what he did before rising to justice.
Monday night at 9 on Arizona PBS. Arizona PBS wants to wish a very happy birthday to our Arizona PBS Kids Club members that are having a birthday. Thanks so much for being a part of the Arizona PBS Kids Club. And if you'd like to see your name here during your birthday month, get a grown-up's help to visit azpbs.org/family to learn about our Arizona PBS family membership. So happy birthday from all of us at Arizona PBS.
The U.S. Justice Department recently filed suit against Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. This after Fontes refused to release state voter rolls to the Trump administration. The Secretary of State joins us now to talk about that. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me
Thanks
back.
for coming. Yeah, we appreciate it. Good to see you. All right, so basically, we've talked about this a little bit in the past here, but let's
Sure.
Justice Department says, the Trump administration says, give me information. Give me the voter rolls. You say no. Why?
Right. Well, because they're not entitled to them, first of all. It violates state law. In fact, it's a Class 6 felony to hand over some of the information that they have specifically been asking for. It violates the Privacy Act of 1974. No administration in the history of the Republic has ever made this kind of request, so it's highly unusual. In fact, it's never happened before. And I'm charged with keeping your information safe. This includes the stuff they're asking for includes month and day of birth. It includes any or part of Social Security numbers, tribal ID numbers, mother's maiden names, father's names, all kinds of bits and pieces that we may have in our voter rolls on each individual voter, and they're just not entitled to it. So I'm not going to give it up.
Justice Department says what they're trying to do is to ensure that those who are voting are truly registered to vote and should be voting.
Well, that's one of their justifications. And then they say they're doing it to make sure that we're in compliance with the Civil Rights Act and with the Help America Vote Act and with the Voter Registration Act. Mm-hmm. Their justifications have been shifting and moving throughout the entire process of conversation that we've had with them. So we don't know what their real motive is. The problem that they have is they don't have the understanding or the expertise to actually accomplish what they say they want to accomplish with what they're asking for. That's not how this works. So what they have the authority to do, Ted, and what they should be doing is this. The federal statutes that they're claiming that they have authority under regulate processes, not individual voter records. And they need to be making sure that we're following the process part of the law. Individual voter records are within the purview of the states. That's why we have the Privacy Act. That's why we have the state statutes against giving this stuff up. So what they're doing is they're invading into state territory, if you will, state legal territory, state election administration territory that they don't have any business in. And so we're just not going to give the information up.
But I would imagine that they would be saying to you in these discussions that, yes, the process, that's what they're focusing on, but they can't complete the process or ensure that the process is authentic without getting that information.
Well, that would be true if you didn't know how these things worked, but we know how these things work. Imagine these voter rolls, okay? You've got something in the neighborhood of 4.7 million voters on there, some active, some inactive. These are dynamic lists. They change every single day. You've got online voter registration at the motor vehicle division, groups running around out there doing these. So the shifting and changing of these voter rolls is an important part of how we do things. That's why this is unprecedented, highly unusual, not only that, not to mention illegal. If they wanted to do what they say they wanted to do, and they knew how these mechanisms worked, again, they would be looking at process, not individual voter records. And because I don't trust them, and I have good reason not to trust them, I'm not going to give up Arizonans' personal identifying information, particularly to a group of folks who we know don't know how to keep data secure. I mean, they put 300 million Social Security records on an unsecured server that anybody could bust into. I mean, come on, this is amateur hour, and I'm not going to put our voter records out there for anybody to get a hold of. So that's not going to happen.
Back to their argument using the Civil Rights Act of 1960, they say that the act grants the Attorney General the power, sweeping power, I think was the word, sweeping power, to obtain these records for inspection, reproduction, and copying.
They are wrong as to the portion that they demand. They may be right as to the portion they could have gotten under a regular public records request, which they've never asked for. To this date, Ted, they've never bothered to say, okay, give us the stuff that we're entitled to. They've never asked. And they can get your name, your address, your party affiliation, and if they want to run some checks on that, they're perfectly entitled to that. But they've never asked for that, Ted. You know what they have asked for? Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers, dates and months of birth. These are things that are specifically prohibited for us to give over. So I'm wondering if all these other records are available to them and they could do the things they're wanting to do with those records. Why aren't they asking for that? They're not asking for that because they want to invade your privacy. And that is a real concern of mine.
You said you've had some conversations with them?
In writing.
In writing.
Yeah.
And you're not,
I don't chat with those
I was
folks.
going to, but when you said you had some, discussions with them,
Yeah.
Are you getting much of a response? Is there much of a conversation going? Is it just a couple of emails or messages passed back and forth?
No, they are writing us letters saying they have all this authority that they don't have, and we're responding in kind, saying, as a matter of fact, you don't have that sweeping authority. And here's the other thing too. When I'm an attorney, and when I write adjectives like that, I really want to emphasize something that's not. They don't have sweeping authority for anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So, they're kind of overplaying their hand here a little bit with some of this stuff. So, we're not going to give them the records. It's very, very clear. It's very, very simple. It would be illegal for me to do so. It violates state and federal law. It's a highly unusual request. I'm joined by almost 24 other secretaries of state across the country in saying no, so I'm not alone in this fight. And I don't trust them with your data, with your Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers. So I'm not going to give up the data.
Last question before you go here. You say you're willing to go to jail rather than to comply. Would that mean that you going to jail would mean defying a court order? Would you be willing to do that?
In this circumstance, I think I would seriously consider it. Because here's the thing. They're flat wrong. And we've got some members of the judiciary now that are making some really wild rulings. It's very, very clear that I would have to go to jail if I gave it up because they don't have the authority in state court to immunize me because of the dual sovereignty issue. They might be able to immunize me in federal court, but I might have to go to jail anyway. So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't.
You got bars on either side of you.
So all I'm going to do is say no. And I'm going to continue to protect Arizona's privacy interests because that's what I was elected to do, and I'm going to keep on doing it.
Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, good to have you, sir.
Happy to be back.
You bet.
Thanks.
A new book suggests that living longer and feeling younger is simpler than you think. The book is titled Longevity Made Simple, and it promises to challenge everything we think we know about health, aging, and the future of medicine. The book was written by Dr. Shad Marvasti, along with former U.S. Surgeon General Richard Carmona. Dr. Marvasti joins us right now. Good to see you again.
Great to see you again as well, Ted.
Yeah. Oh, so, all right. How simple can longevity be made? I mean, you're saying this is simple? Longevity sounds like an awfully complicated issue.
It sounds more complicated than it is. You know, the reality is you don't need to be a billionaire biohacker, have the greatest technology, and put down all these expenses to really get the most bang for your buck. And this really book is a culmination of nearly 20 years of my clinical experience in treating patients and really taking a whole person approach to health, where we look at the science of epigenetics, right? Most people are familiar with genetics, but epigenetics is above and beyond our genes. And what we're learning there is that our zip code is actually more important than our genetic code in determining health and longevity.
How does the zip code affect the genetic code?
So where we live, how active we are, how socially isolated we are, or how connected we are, what we eat, the stressors in our life, these social, behavioral, and lifestyle determinants actually turn our genes on or off for better or for worse. So you can think about the genes we inherit like hardware and these epigenetic inputs as basically upgrading or downgrading our software.
Interesting. All right. The 5 daily habits that you talk about in this book, the acronym is DRESS. You call it the DRESS code.
Yes.
DRESS. What do they stand for?
Diet, relationships, exercise, stress, and sleep. So these are the key epigenetic inputs. Diet is like the #1 risk factor for premature preventable disease. The standard American diet is nearly 70% processed food, or what I call frankenfoods. That is like a software downgrade. So it turns on genes that cause cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease. But if we switch to a whole food diet that's mostly plants and basically whole vegetables, whole fruits, healthy fats, then we turn on genes that protect us against cancer, that protect us against heart disease.
So real quickly, before you go on further, you're not just saying, don't eat this stuff, it's bad for you. You're saying, eat this stuff, it's good for you.
Absolutely. I'm telling you what the things that you eat, and I'm saying that your gene expression actually changes not in a matter of years, not even months, but we can actually change gene expression in a matter of weeks. In the same time that it takes for your taste buds to turn over, in 4 to 5 weeks, you can actually change genes and turn on the ones that improve health and longevity.
Okay, the R is relationships.
Yes, so critical, so underestimated. Big Harvard study looking at graduates over 50 years, and they found that the single best predictor of health and happiness later in life was not your cholesterol level, but it was actually whether you had meaningful, authentic relationships in your life. This could be a romantic relationship, or it could just be a close friendship, a space of vulnerability and trust, and that actually turns on genes that improve longevity.
Exercise, we know this. Exercise is almost an elixir.
Any
these
movement,
days.
right? We see in the blue zones where people live longer, any movement is actually very helpful. So it's not like you have to have an expensive gym membership. Just walking for 30, 45 minutes a day, just being active, that's really it.
And the 2 S's at the end, stress and sleep.
And stress is a double-edged sword. So short-term stress like a sauna or a cold plunge can actually help make your body more resistant to disease and healthy. But long-term chronic stress can actually increase chronic inflammation. So doing practices like yoga, tai chi, meditation, mindfulness-based stress reduction, these actually change brain structures in just 8 weeks and help your body cope with stress over the long term.
And as far as sleep is concerned,
it's about getting a consistent rhythm. It's about getting access to real sunlight early in the morning to reset your circadian rhythm, your internal clock, and basically having good sleep hygiene so that you're waking up and sleeping at the same time.
And good sleep hygiene, does that, I'm asking for a friend here.
Yeah.
Does good sleep hygiene mean waking up when animals wake you up or something in the middle of the night? Does that bother your sleep hygiene?
That doesn't necessarily. If you're getting really good REM sleep, then you're not going to get woken up by that.
Okay, but if you are woken up by that, then you got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, that's
So basically, type 2 diabetes can be reversed.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
You can lose pounds. You can normalize blood pressure. All of these things you can do.
Yes.
For free.
This
is for free.
Yeah, and the thing is that people think that, I have diabetes, I have heart disease, I have Alzheimer's in my family, therefore I'm fated to get it. The reality is our genes are not our destiny, and that we can actually control our path. And so in the book, we give practical tips on how to do this and how to add that into your daily life.
Well, I was going to ask about the mental aspect of where does willpower come into all this? Because all of these things, you need to get it done, and you can't just sit there and expect it to be done to you.
Well, I think you need guidance and you need support, which is where the fields of integrative medicine, lifestyle medicine, but what we're calling whole health now. So this approach where we're not just giving you a medication or surgery, but we're prescribing food as medicine, prescribing exercise as medicine. And then as you're making those changes and we're helping you along that path, you're actually de-prescribing medication. I'm taking people off of blood pressure medication as their blood pressure comes down. I'm taking patients off of diabetes medication as their blood sugar comes down, because they're making the connections with data using technology like continuous glucose monitors to see how your activity level, the foods you eat, affect your blood sugar numbers. So then real time, you can actually make those changes and get reinforced in them.
Dr. Shad Marvasti, again, Longevity Made Simple. Congratulations on the book. Best of success to you. And this is really interesting stuff. Going to have to look it up. Going to have to figure it out.
Thank you very much, Ted.
Good to have you here. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS delivers programs that serve as a trusted guide for little explorers. Thanks to you and
Arizona Theater Company at Tempe Center for the Arts presents Heist, a thriller packed with double crosses, disguises, and daring escapes. Inspired by Ocean's 11, The Italian Job, and The Sting. January 10th through 25th. Tickets at atc.org.
Primavera Online School now offers kindergarten through 5th grade with a project-based curriculum, digital learning activities, and small group instruction. To learn more, visit chooseprimavera.com.
coming up tonight at 7. At 8. At 9.
Hello, I'm Paula Kerger, president of PBS. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the